Now here's my biggest question. Man, this is going to be controversial in the comment section. Do you still think the SEC is the best conference in college football? Because I'm not too sure if I do. 3 years ago, or heck, 2 years ago, if you'd have told me I'd be sitting up here talking about who's better, the Pac-12 or the SEC, I'd have thought you were crazy. Seriously, I would have thought something was wrong with you. No way. This is a real deal, serious, and legit question. Is it time? Is it already time? We are, what, 2 weeks in? Well, if you want to count week 0, 3 weeks into the college football season? Is it time to admit the SEC sucks? Are they terrible? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section. Is the SEC falling off? I think it's a little too early to say that, but I'd say this much. Up until this point, they're having an awful season. They look terrible. And when I say they, I'm referring to the entirety of the conference as a whole. And honestly, as an SEC fan, yeah, it's been embarrassing up until this point. And here's where I start to get worried, because just what I've seen in these first couple of weeks, if anything, I think it's only going to get worse. And the funny thing is, over the past 15, 16 something years, whenever someone's tried calling out the SEC or someone's tried saying, oh, well, I don't think they're as good as people say, we just go out there and we shut them up because we destroy every single team out there. For example, in the offseason, people say, oh, well, the SEC, they're overhyped. And then week 1, the SEC, they'll go 14-0. Well, this year in the offseason, people were saying, oh, yeah, well, the SEC might be top-heavy and overrated. And we didn't back it up. And what's even funnier about it is our quote-unquote top-heavy teams, they haven't even been holding up production. We're going to talk all about that in tonight's late-night primetime video. No, yeah, by the way, we ain't doing no intro, none of that. We're getting straight into it. I don't got time to waste. You don't got time to waste either. It's relatively simple. If you like our content, consider joining our amazing community. And oh, yeah, by the way, we are now less than 9,000 subscribers away from 300K. We're on the final push. If you like college football content and you want to be a part of our community, consider joining. If not, that's cool too. Getting that out the way, check out this stat I saw on Twitter and it blew my mind. It was posted a couple days ago and it got over 1 million views. The SEC is 1-6 in games against Power 5 opponents this season. Alabama lost to Texas. Okay, that just happened. We know that. Remember though, Florida lost to Utah. Vandy, which by the way, got to clarify, they're just in the conference to bring up the GPA. They lost to Wake Forest. South Kakalaki lost to North Kakalaki. LSU got steamrolled, beamrolled by FSU. The Cinnamon Rolls and A&M, of course, overrated and sorry and fraudulent Jimbo Fisher lost to the U. And yeah, as funny as it is to look at all this, it is embarrassing. And oh yeah, this person did tweet out after that, the SEC did pick up 2 wins over Arizona and Cal, so it advanced us to 3-6, but still, it's pitiful. And honestly, Auburn shouldn't have beat California, so really we should be 2-7. But whatever, 3-6, 2-7, not a big deal. The point is, we have sucked up until this point. And at this point in time, there's only one thing we can cling to. If you're an SEC fan, there's only one thing you can say. Hey, we still got Georgia. We got Georgia in our conference. The back-to-back champs are ranked number 1. So technically, we're still the best. Let's check out this tweet, though, too, because somebody tagged me in this. I haven't even read it. It states, this year the SEC bowed up and played the most challenging out-of-conference games in the first 2 weeks of college football than ever in the recent history. The results, SEC is 3-6 against P5 conferences, 0-4 against ranked out-of-conference Power 5 teams. It's time to end the narrative there's no dominance. Interesting. What do y'all think about that, SEC fans? Because you know, a majority of the people that tune into the channel are SEC fans, so I'm curious. And I'm only asking you what you think about this person saying there is no dominance. I'm not asking you what you think about the SEC being 3-6, because it doesn't matter what you think. That's a cold hard fact. We are 3-6 against the Power 5. Before we go any farther, I'm going to show you some more numbers and stats. Me personally, do I think it's a big deal that the SEC is 3-6 against Power 5 out-of-conference opponents? Not really. I mean, you could say it's a big deal, but at the end of the day, how do we judge these conferences? Based off of who your top dogs are and how many championships you win. That's how sports work. How do we judge who's the greatest of all time? Hey, how many championships you got? It's the reason why people make fun of Chris Paul so much. People never give Chris Paul respect. Why? Hasn't won a championship. And they never will give him respect until he wins a championship, and it probably won't ever happen. For all my older people out there, and I don't mean older people, but people in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, why do you think Michael Jordan's the greatest of all time? What is the only argument people bring up when they say Jordan, why Jordan is better than LeBron? They either bring up championships or his mentality. That's it. We base success off of championships. Period. The end. We don't base success off of, oh, well, how many top 50 FPI teams did you have? No. It ain't about that. So whether the SEC's top heavy or not, that's what it comes down to. You can like it, you can dislike it, but that's reality. That's how things work. And 20 years from now, when you're telling your kids about what happened in 2023, you're not going to remember what conference had the most top 50 or top 35 teams in the country. What you are going to remember in 20 years from now, if anything, is who won the championship in 2023. You see what I'm saying? So for me, yet again, I do think this is a wake-up call, and it's definitely worth talking about, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. Because at the end of the day, don't want to repeat myself here, but we base success off of the championships. We don't base your success off of what you do in week 1 or week 2. But check this out. This is the SEC's record compared to all the other Power 5 conferences. SEC, of course, were last 3-6, but look at the tippy top. The Pac-12 is 6-3. Oh, what do you think about that? We'll talk about them in just a second. ACC's 4-4, the sorry and sucky Big Ten is 3-3, and then the Big 12 is 4-5. And then to go on top of that, nobody brought this up, but on Saturday, Tennessee, they struggled with Austin Peay. So even though Tennessee didn't lose, I mean, it's still worth throwing in there that Tennessee doesn't look all too hot. That's concerning. And also check out this, what I'm about to show you. This is a list of the conferences with the most top 25 teams, or really the top 25 teams by conference. And at the very top of this is crazy, man. The Pac-12 has not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, but 8 teams in the freaking top 25. What about that? Hold on. Clap it up for the Pac-12, man. What a year. And it's crazy to think the Pac-12 is arguably the best conference in college football this year, and they're going to be evaporating, or they will evaporate by next year. Don't they only have 2 teams remaining in the conference? It's essentially gone. Crazy to think. I still can't get over how their commissioner messed it up this bad. You had all these good teams, and you couldn't hold it together. It's a shame. It really is. But that's besides the point. We've talked about that enough in the offseason. Below the Pac-12, even though they haven't been looking good, we got the big and mighty SEC with 5 teams. Georgia, number 1. Then we got Bama, Tennessee, LSU, and Ole Miss. Behind the SEC, we got the ACC, who's surprisingly looking decent this year outside of Clemson. Got the Seminoles, North Kakalaki, Duke, and then you got the U. And then last but not least, we got the sorry and sucky Big Ten. We got Michigan, the little bro Ohio State, Penn State, and overrated and sucky Iowa. And oh yeah, I forgot about the Big 12. They only got 3 teams. Texas, K-State, Oklahoma, and then we got independent Notre Dame. But yeah, look at the Pac-12. Man, 8 teams is ridiculous. That's crazy, and I agree with it. All these teams deserve to be ranked in the top 25. Now, here's my biggest question. Man, this is going to be controversial in the comment section. Do you still think the SEC is the best conference in college football? Because I'm not too sure if I do. If we're talking about from top to bottom, the best conference in college football right now is the Pac-12. It is USC, top 10 team. Washington, top 10 team. Utah, top 10 team, at least in my opinion. Some people got them outside, but I'd put them in the top 10. Remember, Utah's winning games with their backup quarterback. When Cam Rising comes back, that's a completely different team. Then you got Oregon. Most people think they're a top 10 team. Then you got Oregon State. A lot of people think they're in the top 15. Then you got big old mighty Coach Primetime in the Buffaloes. They're looking good. Then you got Washington State. They just beat a top 20 team in Wisconsin. Then you got UCLA. Trust me, I love the SEC. Y'all know this, but shoot, top to bottom, it's got to be the Pac-12, right? That's the new best conference. And this is the first time in 15 years I've ever stated that there's a better conference than the SEC. But at this point in time, at least, that's where I'm leaning. But whoa. Hold on, Timothy. Before you freak out in the comment section, hear me out. When you're talking about who's got the better championship contenders, oh yeah, it's still the SEC. Because who's the top 3 teams in the Pac-12? I guess you say USC, Washington, and Utah, right? Well, if you take the top 3 teams in the SEC, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, or some people throw LSU in there, it doesn't matter. Most people think that the SEC's top 3 or 4 is better than the Pac-12's top 3 or 4, and I agree with that. But remember, a conference isn't just 3 or 4 teams. You got 14, and now in the future, 16, 18 teams. And also remember, Alabama, one of the SEC's quote-unquote top teams, lost by double digits at home to Texas. And also remember, LSU, quote-unquote, one of the SEC top teams, got just completely steamrolled by the Seminoles. So you see what I'm saying? I think this year what is so glaring, and it is a glaring weakness for the SEC, is their top teams are losing to other Power 5 teams in different conferences. And now that's why some people are trying to state, oh, well, the SEC, they might not be the top dogs anymore. And I agree. I understand where they're coming from. Because it's not a good look for the SEC when your top dogs are losing the way they are. Because Alabama and LSU and Florida didn't just lose to out-of-conference opponents. They all lost by double digits or more. So that's something to think about. And hey, Ole Miss, they probably would have lost to Tulane if Tulane had their starting quarterback. It's an interesting conversation to me, at least, and I can't even believe I'm having this conversation. 3 years ago, or heck, 2 years ago, if you'd have told me I'd be sitting up here talking about who's better, the Pac-12 or the SEC, I'd have thought you were crazy. Seriously, I would have thought something was wrong with you. No way. But here we are, and I think you might be crazy to say the SEC is better than the Pac-12. And it's not just one thing or the other, it's a combination of both things. The Pac-12's having an insane start to the year, and the SEC's having a terrible start to the year. And it's college football, guys. This could all change in the matter of 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks. I'm curious. Let me know in the comment section. Do you think I'm tripping and overreacting, or do you think there's some truth to what I'm saying? And let me clarify on this. I'm not saying the Pac-12 has leaped the SEC and they're currently the best conference in college football. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm more so of saying, and I probably should have made this more clear, is based off of the first 2 weeks, the Pac-12 looks better than the SEC. I hope you understand what I'm saying now. If I didn't communicate that right at the start, I do apologize. I'm just talking about the first 2 weeks, the Pac-12 does look better than the SEC, and the SEC just looks bad. That's all there is to it. Let me know your thoughts down below. But